Welcome to Module 2. In this module, we discuss the core financial transactions that use debits and credits. These include JEs, cash, and budget transfers. We will use the journal entry as our main vehicle for demonstrating the various functions available. These functions, like adds, changes and deletes, apply equally to JEs, cash transfers, and budget transfers. We'll discuss cash deposits separately in Module 3. Thus, once you know how to perform a change on the JE, then you will know how to do the same thing on the budget transfers, since the screens and icons are exactly the same. Here's some facts about GL transactions. First, all core financial transactions cannot be changed or deleted once they are approved. For those transactions that use debits and credits, you can, however, copy a transaction, reverse its detail lines, and then approve the new transaction. The net effect is to reverse the previous GL transaction entry within the GL. Second, until a GL transaction is approved, it can be edited or deleted without any effect on the GL. Finally, even though a journal entry looks exactly the same as a cash transfer, there is a difference. Journal entries do not permit interfund, inter-resource, or inter-year transfer of monies. Only a cash transfer can accomplish this. So let's get started. We begin at the main QCC window. 3 of our 4 core financial transactions are accessed from the journal's transfer link. These are journal entries, cash transfers, and cash deposits. Budget transfers, on the other hand, are accessed from the budget's link. First, let's select the journal and transfers link. The GL application window displays. This window serves as the launch screen for 3 of our 4 GL transactions. Each is accessed by selecting its tab. Let me demonstrate. If I select the Journal Entry tab, the Journal Entry launch screen displays. Selecting the Cash Deposit tab displays the Cash Deposit screen. And finally, selecting the Cash Transfer tab shows the Cash Transfer screen. Notice that in all 3 cases the toolbar icons remain the same. So once you know how to create a journal entry, you know how to create the other 2 GL transactions. Similarly, once you know how to change or delete a journal entry, you can do the same with the other transactions as well. Since we are discussing journal entries in this module, let's select the Journal Entry tab and create a new journal entry. Let's see what the budget transfer screen looks like just by way of contrast. Recall that from the main QCC window, we select Budget. In the window that displays, we select the Budget Transfer tab. With the exception of the 3 grayed out icons in the main toolbar, which I'm pointing to here, all of the other icons are exactly the same as in our JE screen. This means that if you know how to create, modify, or delete a journal entry, you immediately know how to do the same thing to a budget transfer. Since we are discussing journal entries in this module, let's return to our main GL application screen and select the Journal Entry tab and create a new journal entry. To create a new journal entry, we first ensure that the Journal Entry tab is selected. And then we select the Add icon in the toolbar. Several changes occurred on our journal entry screen. First, notice at the far right that the green status indicator has changed from an Inspect to an Add, so that we now know we're in the Add mode. Second, notice that certain fields have become white while others have become yellow. Only the white fields allow data entry. And third, check out the journal number field. It now reads in yellow, New, which indicates that we're creating a new journal entry. Let's fill in the fields for our new journal entry. For the date of the transaction, I will accept today's date as the date field. Entry. If we wanted a different date, we would pull down the calendar and double-click the date we want. In the description field, I type my new JE. Now that we have the JE's header information filled in, let's examine the toolbar for the JE's detail lines. This toolbar is the same for all 3 of our GL transactions: journals, cash transfers, and budget transfers. So once you know how to add and modify lines in a journal entry, you know how to add and modify lines in cash transfers and budget transfers. Most of the time you will only use a few of these detail line icons. For completeness, let's see what each one means. The green plus sign is the same as its larger brother. This enables you to add new detail lines to our JE one at a time. Next door is the output detail grid, which is of limited use. Basically, it allows you to output your detail lines into Excel. Our next icon to the right is very useful. This is the reverse debits and credits function. Selecting this icon causes all debits in your JE to become credits and all credits become debits. We'll take this icon up in greater detail when we discuss how to reverse a JE. The next icon is the Auto Add Rows, which enables you to use the GL Account Lookup window to add accounts to your JE detail lines. Our next icon with the 10 and down arrow is the Import Row Data, which is your direct import interface with Excel. If you have an Excel spreadsheet in proper format, you can easily import both accounts and their debit credits into your JE up to a maximum of 500 lines. Finally, the last icon is the Delete function. This function allows you to delete any detail line in an unapproved JE. How about if we start adding detail lines to our JE? We'll start with the Add Detail Row icon. When we select this icon, a new window opens. If you have only a few detail lines to add, this is a great choice. However, if your JE's detail lines number in the hundreds, with a maximum of 500 per JE, you probably don't want to use this function. If you know your account, you can enter it directly in the account line field. However, if you don't know the account line, you can select the little L button to the left of the account line field. This displays yet another window, the GL Account Lookup. If you know part of the account that you would like to use, you can enter it in the account field. For example, I know that my account is from Fund 890. It is unrestricted and hence the resource field would equal all zeros. The year is 0 and it will be a materials account. Hence a 4xxx for the object. Putting this into our field we get. Now I've added question marks which act as wildcard matches. This means that any number in the account where the question mark appears is accepted. Having question marks enables us to see all accounts that match Fund 890, Resource 0, Year 0, and Object 4XXX. Now selecting the Search for Accounts icon, we interrogate the district's account master files for matches, which display below. To select an account, scroll the window down until your account displays and then select the account. The account listing only shows 100 accounts at a time. If your account is further down, you can use the blue icons at the top to either skip to the next set of 100 accounts or to jump to the end of the account listing. In our case, I'll select this account and then select the Return Account icon. Notice that our chosen account now appears filled in. All that remains is to fill in either the debit or credit amount and optionally a description of this account. I will enter $25 in the debit field. Now I want to add a corresponding credit amount. So I will choose the Save and Stay icon, which keeps this window active while it saves what I just did. Notice how my input is saved and the line number is now advanced to 2. Again, I will use the GL Account Lookup icon, that is the little L, to search for a new account, this time with the object 5XXX. After the search finishes, I select my object 5200 account and then select the Return Account icon in the toolbar as I did before. Now I fill in $25 for the credit amount. And this time I select the Save and Close window icon since I'm done entering account detail lines. The results of my work show up in my JE. If you look at the bottom of the screen, you will notice 3 yellow fields. These display the debit and credit totals and the differences between the two. In general, QCC does not allow unbalanced JEs, so the difference field must show 0 in order for your JE to be saved. Because I have a balanced JE, I can complete 2 further steps that will result in a new unapproved JE. First, I can save the JE to the QCC system. For this I select the Save icon in my toolbar. The GEO application window updates with a message that my save was successful. In addition, a new journal number has been assigned. We have one more step. We have to process this JE. So we select the process icon in the toolbar. Once we have processed the JE, a new message appears, unapproved, together with a timestamp and an audit ID. At this point, all that remains is for this JE to be approved. For now, let's hold off on the approval since we want to see other operations on our JE. For instance, suppose we wanted to reverse the debit and credit in this transaction. Well, that's easy. We first select the change icon in the toolbar. A little surprised? Well, it turns out that in QCC, anytime you want to change data within an existing unapproved GL transaction, you need to put the transaction into a change status and then perform the change. So I select the change icon. And watch what happens. The first thing we notice is that the green status indicator at the right of our screen now displays change. Next, we see both the date and description fields are now open for editing as well as the account detail lines. For our purposes, let's change the debit and credit amounts from $25 to $20. To change an account detail line, we simply double-click within it as I'm doing here. This plays our familiar editing window for our account detail line. Now it's a simple matter of just changing the $25 to $20. Then we select the Save and Close window icon to bring us back to the GL application screen. Notice how the debit amount is now $20. Next we select the second account line by double-clicking within this line. A new edit window displays and once again I change the $25 to $20. Then I select the Save and Close window icon to return to the GL application window. Finally, to save our changed GL, I select the Save icon in the toolbar. Although we receive a message that our JE was updated, the current status line below the description field seems strangely lagging. Not to worry though, since we have one more step to go. To update our screen, we need to select the process icon in the toolbar. Once we do this, our update is now complete. Let's try some other changes such as reversing our debits and credits. First, we need to select the change icon. Notice how the icons near the account lines are now active. To reverse our debits and credits, we just select the Reverse Debits and Credits icon. Our debits and credits now reverse. If we select the reverse again, our debits and credits are restored to their previous locations. Now let's look at the Delete Detail row icon. This icon allows us to delete a selected account line from our JE. We first select the account line to delete. Notice the arrowhead pointing to the selected account line. Now we select the Delete Detail row icon. We are presented with a small window asking if we really want to delete the account line. Since I only want to demonstrate this function and not delete the line, I select No. Let's save and process our JE. Now suppose I wanted to delete the entire JE instead of an individual account line. We first have to search for our JE by number and then we have to delete it. Recall that you can only delete a JE that has not been approved. To find our JE, we enter its number in the journal number field. Then we select the process icon to initiate our search. Once our JE displays, we select the delete icon in the toolbar. We are presented with a small window asking if we really want to delete our JE. Again, I will select No since I have some other capabilities I would like to demonstrate for our JE. Finally, QCC enables you to copy an existing journal entry, which is especially helpful if you want to reverse an approved JE. So how do we do this? Now first we need to identify the JE that we want to reverse. I have an existing JE transaction in mind, so I'm going to select the copy icon. In the Return From field, I enter the existing JE number. Then I select the return icon. A copy of our previous JE now appears as a new unapproved JE. We can now reverse the debits and credits by selecting the Reverse Debits and Credits icon as I'm doing here. Notice how the debits and credits have reversed. When we save, process, and have this JE approved, it effectively reverses the previous JE that we copied from. We'll discuss how to approve a JE in Module 3. Now let's switch gears a bit and return to adding accounts to our previously filled JE. We begin by putting our JE into change mode. Our account detail lines icons are now active. We start with the auto add rows, which I'm pointing to here. The auto add rows uses the GL account lookup to find a set of accounts that we can add to our JE. For this example, I want to add accounts that begin with Fund 890, Resource 0, Year 0, and Object 4XXX. I enter the appropriate parts of the account in the account field and then select the Search for Accounts icon. As we've seen before, this screen updates with the listing of accounts that match our criteria. The first thing you see is that there are now 3 return icons instead of one that we've seen before. These enable you to return a single selected account, multiple selected accounts, or all accounts that were found. All 3 of these icons become green once you select the accounts to add. Previously, we added the single selected accounts, so I won't cover that here. Instead, I'm going to show you how to return multiple accounts to our JE. For our example, I'm going to return 4 accounts to our JE. First, we just select our accounts by clicking each account line one at a time as I'm doing here. If we want to unselect any account, we just reselect it. Notice that our selected accounts have a pink shading. And the Return Selected Accounts icon has turned from gray to green, meaning that it is now active. Selecting the Return Selected Accounts icon, as I'm doing here, updates our JE with our selected accounts. All that remains is to put in our debits and credits, save our work, and get our JE approved. Finally, let's see how we can import accounts, debits, and credits from an Excel spreadsheet. To ensure a successful import, our Excel spreadsheet has to have a specific format. Column A for accounts, column B for debits, and column C for credits. In addition, your accounts cannot be created by custom formatting or formula. Each account has to have 35 digits with optional dashes in between the parts. You can only have a maximum of 500 account lines. Both debits and credits must balance. No headers on the columns. And finally, the spreadsheet must be in Excel 2003 or earlier format. Here is a sample of a properly formatted and balanced Excel spreadsheet consisting of 4 accounts. Now let's see how we can import this into our JE. I've just selected the Add icon in the GL application window toolbar to start a new JE. In addition, I've already filled in the header information. Now I select the Import Row Data icon. The Grid Import window displays. Now I select the Import from File icon. The Windows Open window displays. I now select the Excel spreadsheet that I want to upload to our JE. Then I select the Open button. The Grid Import window displays our 4 account lines. Notice that all 4 rows were imported without error. If there were formatting errors in our data, this window would display such errors and would not permit the data import to progress further. Since our import was error-free, we select the Return Data icon. The GL application window displays with our accounts successfully imported. But we still have a little more to do. We need to save our account detail lines. The process of saving will check our accounts against the latest SACS field relationship tables as well as checking that our debits and credits balance. Let's see if our save is successful. So far, nothing unusual. Our JE was updated successfully with new accounts from Excel, and we now have an assigned JE number. But we need to process this JE so that it enters the unapproved state. So we just select the process icon. And so now our JE is in the unapproved state awaiting approval. Let's look at the other GL transactions for comparison. We start with the cash transfer by selecting the Cash Transfer tab. The first thing you will notice is that the cash transfer screen is identical to the journal entry screen. So every operation that we've discussed previously with journal entries is exactly the same with the cash transfers. Let's look at budget transfers. You will notice that budget transfers don't have a tab in the GL application screen. So we need to return to the main QCC window where we select budget. The budget maintenance window displays. We now select the budget transfer tab. If we only consider the active icons in the main toolbar, these icons exactly match those of the journal entry and cash transfers. Similarly, the icons available for the budget transfer detail lines are the same as before. The net result is that once you know how to create, edit, and delete a journal entry, you know how to handle a budget transfer. So we come to the end of our module on journal entries. At this point you should be familiar with the types of actions that you can take, not only with journal entries, but also with cash and budget transfers. I've alluded to approvals early in this module, so now is a good time to see our GL transactions be approved and thus posted to the GL. And our next module, Module 3, will see how to do just that.